Okay, welcome to today's special video. It's kind of a combination of a studio army review or unit for the Imperial Guard as well as a kind of conversion showcase. It won't be a how-to because I'm not actually walking through the process and showing you the actual, how to do it, but I'll be talking in detail about how I did this particular conversion. Before I get into that, I want to kind of walk through the backstory of these particular tanks. These represent my interpretation of the Chimedon, which is a unit that you used to be able to use in Epic, the game Epic. And their Imperial Guard unit or tank that was actually a Conqueror cannon mounted on a Chimera chassis. So kind of like a light tank, which is something actually that right now the Imperial Guard doesn't really have access to in their codex. I kind of like the idea, and of course, when looking at the the First Armor Division in Poland, or the Polish division, one of the elements they have the main battle tanks, where there's Shermans, and their light reconnaissance tanks they'd send out in flanks and ahead would be the Stuarts, the M5s. But they also had a specific tanks. They used the British Cromwell tank as their reconnaissance tank. It's a medium tank, a little bit faster than the Sherman. Had the same gun actually as the Sherman Firefly, so it was a very effective gun. But had lighter armor. It was designed to basically respond quickly, identify the four enemy positions and what have you, engage and get out of there. It wasn't designed to slug it out like the Sherman was supposedly meant to. So it formed their reconnaissance platoons. So this is kind of fit perfectly into what I wanted. The Chimedon would be my reconnaissance tank, but this is there's nothing in the codex right now that has the Chimedon. And back when I first started, I had heard there were rules in Apocalypse that let you design your own. So, you know what, I went with that. I think in my current game meta, I'm sure the guys know me well enough now that I'm not a power gamer, though they do know I've got a little bit of a competitive streak that sometimes rears its ugly head. But these are try to make sure these are not some of those overpowered type units. Kept pretty true to the form. The story I'm using is my particular world that these infantry regiments are from does have a hive presence, and they actually do churn out a lot of Chimera chassis equipment. Hydras, basilisks, chimeras, salamanders, and what have you. So it makes sense that they would have the Chimedon. Well, went through a few different versions of the Chimedon. Actually calling these the Chimedon Mark IV because it doesn't look like the Epic model. The Epic model actually put the Conqueror cannon on a regular Chimera turret. Didn't quite look right. So these look a little more beefy. So they kind of have the same stats as a Devil Dog from a vehicle perspective. 12 armor front, 12 armor side, 10 rear, fast attack, fast tank. So here's how I went about creating these, because I didn't want to just plop a different turret on this Chimera body. I want to do something a little different. So the first one I'm going to go through is the turret itself. I didn't do any conversion. This is the Forge World Conqueror cannon turret for Leman Russ Conquerer, and it comes with the Stormbolter. That's the coaxial machine gun that comes with it. I prefer that. I kind of like that particular aspect because, in World War II, we had a lot of coaxial machine guns on our Shermans, and it's kind of nice to see that here. Now, this tank normally represents a Conqueror, Leman Russ Conqueror tank. Just different chassis, 14 front, 13 side, 10 rear. When we're not going to play my special tank. So I do get a lot of use in these because I do like the Conqueror cannon, especially in the current iteration, the 7th edition, which is the Imperial Armor update. So as far as actually going through and changing up a Chimera, there are a few things that I did. First, I wanted to make it look a little more like a tank, so I used the Forge World tread guards. I kind of like the look of those a little bit better than the ones that came with the Leman Russ kit. And it doesn't come with a kit; it comes with their upgrade kit. I kind of like the look. It had the headlights cast in. It had this little opening, which, you know, it's okay. I kind of wish it wasn't there, but still, front lights, rear lights, those are nice. It has the tread cover goes all the way down. I really like the look of that. Makes it look a little bit more meaty compared to a regular Chimera. If you look at a kind of a regular Chimera tank, just get this off there for a second. You know, it's got the exposed treads all around, and so when you look at them side by side, this looks a little beefier. So that's kind of why I went with that. I much prefer it. Now, the biggest change from a Chimera is you have to look at these las cannon arrays. Very useful for a troop transport, but useless on a tank that's not supposed to be a transport. So I left the hatch on there as is because that would be the engine access. Makes sense from, you know, just from what I'm looking at. But I actually worked a lot on the rear here. What I wanted to do was get rid of those las gun arrays. So I had to shave down all of the viewing ports, the mounting rings, and actually took down a lot of the rivets. So a lot of the rivets back here were kind of redundant. It just didn't look really nice. I wanted a little more flush. But what I ended up doing is replacing the las gun array with these hatches. These hatches actually come with the kit. There's a portion. There's actually an inner hull. You can see it in there. That this top piece fits over, and you can use these hatches to cover up one of the openings on that particular hull. So I bought 12 of these Chimera kits to do 3 of these conversions and 3 more conversions I'll show you in the next video, as well as my 6 Chimera. So I had plenty of these hatches laying around, and so I created the access panels here. Okay, and on the back, I needed to get rid of the whole the transport look. So I need to get rid of these pistons, and I replaced those with exhaust stacks. You can see those exhaust stacks are actually I took from a model railroading. There's a few kits you can get to deal with oil refinery pipelines and things like that. And so I used those and cut them at different angles and splice it together to get my raised exhaust. But that way it disguises that, so it looks like you've got an engine compartment access door as well as on top and back. And it doesn't look like this thing's supposed to come down and let troops on or off. So that was the other big conversion I had to do. In order to accept this particular turret, I actually had to open up that a little bit. It's not hard. You just basically start taking your X-Acto knife and start carving around in a circle. It's not quite even, but it's not like you're going to see it, so I'm not too worried about that. Aside from that, I need to get rid of all the Imperial iconography. So behind here, I carved down the Aquila and the scroll work and put on a spare treads on both sides. That allowed it to again mask it, because it's really a tight fit in there. It's very hard to get a sanding tool in there. I wasn't about to take a Dremel to that and risk eating up the plastic too much. So it worked really well to use those in that recessed location. If you look, it's very flush. It's not going to stick out. It actually looks like it belongs there. So I was very, very pleased with the way that came out. So there's nothing else to the kit. It really is just a matter of picking the right details and making the slight changes. Now, it's a little bit of work to make these changes, but they're subtle changes that change the character of the model to go from a transport to an actual tank. So there they are side by side. And of course, with the turret on top, let's get the turrets mounted here a second. Once you get the turrets mounted, that's a big difference. So I do like the Forge World turrets. I plan on getting a few more. Matter of fact, all my Leman Russ, I only have one right now, but this year I'm going to be adding to that at least 3 more, probably more. But I'm going to be, every single one of them is going to use a Forge World turret, and that's my way of really making the stand out. I prefer the turret Forge World does to the one that comes stock in the kit. All right, so there's my Chimedon. It's not numbered yet. I'm still working on the making sure I know how it fits into my military units. Everything is numbered accordingly. I've actually created regiments and battalions and companies and platoons, and so I haven't decided which one this is going to be offhand, but when I do, it'll get marked. What I'll end up doing in this case, whereas all of my chimeras are numbered on the turret, so that I can swap turrets without and change the actual unit numbers to reflect the different units I've got. I'm going to put the actual numbers on the hull, because I think that way I can take this turret off and put it on my Leman Russ and actually make it a real Conqueror Leman Russ. So, alright, so that's my studio armor review / conversion showcase dealing with my Chimedon. And it's also, again, when not representing Chimedon, it represents my Leman Russ Conquerors in my Imperial Army world. Okay? Alright, hope this gives you some ideas how you might want to attack different modifications on your own Imperial Guard tanks or other tanks. The Space Marine tanks can go through some similar conversions as well. So go ahead and give me comment below. Let me know what you think. Maybe your experiences, different ways to accomplish the same task that I've done. And let me know what you think again, and share, like, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next Studio Army review. Bye-bye.